requires oil companies to prepare for a disaster. It was right after the Valdez spill.
Right.
Yeah. That's when they put the $75 million cap on there.
Right.
That was that law. Is that law still in effect that you know of, or?
It's the Air Pollution Act of 1990. That is what contains the $75 million provision. That's the cap on what the responsible party, in this case BP, that's what their maximum liability can be for a spill. Unfortunately, the estimate today, what are we at, the 50th day? Is that the cost is north of $14 billion, so obviously $75 million is not going to cut it. So Congressman Costello has two bills coming through the, there are two bills coming through the Transportation Committee. One would set that limit at $10 billion. He's in favor of that. There's another that sets the limit to where there is no limit. There's no cap.
Yeah, like a percentage.
So whatever their liability is determined to be, that's what they're responsible for, and he's also in support of that. I'm not sure how fast those, they're just in committee now. You understand the process goes through committee first before it reaches the House floor. So I'm not sure how fast that will move, but I suspect it will be pretty quick, and then it would go to the Senate. And there's probably a similar amendment proposed in the Senate, I'm guessing. But I think you're finding a little bit of pushback from some of those members from drilling areas to raise the cap, but I think the consensus in the Congress is going to get that passed.
Now, is that amendment, you said the transportation bill,
The Transportation Committee.
Oh, okay.
The bills are in the
I thought it
Transportation
was
Committee.
going to be an amendment onto the cap and trade, or that was a rumor. Do you know anything
That
about
could
that?
be that could be the bill in the Senate. I'm not positive about that. I just know about the two bills that are in the Senate.
Because, well, the reason I bring it up, I was worried about if it is on cap and trade, they're so opposed to cap and trade that it probably might not go nowhere. Yeah, it might not. It'd be something they would use as leverage to be dropped later on. And I think that we should not forget about that.
Right.
You know, just because the bill gets put in, let's not forget about it. Let's keep up on it and hold accountable whoever didn't follow through.
Right.
That's an important issue I wanted to ask about also, is where does Congressman Costello stand on the law enforcement end of it? We've heard that investigations are starting, but is he going to help push to make sure those go through and that those accountable are held accountable?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
Are there any initiatives for other energy sources? I mean,
Besides oil, you mean?
yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, there are.
think
And you
this
see
might-
right now in Illinois, if you go north, as you travel past Springfield and take I-55 over to Peoria, a couple hundred windmills. If you go farther up towards Bloomington, a couple hundred more windmills. You can't miss it. You go up by Rockford. There are windmills there, and there's more planned. Folks have been talking about, just on the windmill side, windmills just south of here. You have just down in Washington County, a lot of folks are not in favor of coal, but you have the cleanest coal plant to date being built. I think a $4 billion project in Prairie State. So there's no question that the country is finally not just talking about green technology, but actually moving in that direction. But there also is no question that folks like you have to keep the pressure on to make sure that our dependence on oil here now is something that's hopefully just for the short term, and that eventually we can move on to cleaner technologies, that for our kids 20 and 30 and 40 years down the road, we won't be having the same conversation about cars that supposedly can get 30 miles to the gallon, etc. So the country is moving there, and the Congress is moving there, but I think you guys are doing a great job, and you need to continue to do what you're doing to keep the pressure on.
What about mass transportation? I mean, they're talking about a train coming from going over to St. Louis, and there's most of the jobs are over there. So you think about if we had some train or L or something to get us there, because I drive there every day.
Right.
There's one person in each car.
Right.
Okay, the congestion, the gas. I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, if we can figure out some way to push some kind of mass transit system
Right.
like that would be totally awesome.
Right.
Instead of being the pushback constantly that we cannot fund it and taxes and MetroLink and all the other stuff. I think
Right.
that would be totally awesome. So.
Right. Well, a couple thoughts. Number one, high-speed rail, $1.1 billion was in the stimulus package.
Yeah, I know that.
The American
and I don't
Recovery
understand that, and there's not enough education about that. That's
Well,
my concern.
I think the problem is that people aren't seeing dirt being moved.
Yeah.
But the money is there. It will fund high-speed rail going from Chicago down to Albany.
So we can jump on it and say, hey, we are going to.
It would be a high-speed rail not of exact quality as you would see in probably Western Europe, but much better than what we have now. We have Metrolink, as you know, in St. Clair County, which folks in St. Clair County rave about. We don't have it in Madison County. We certainly need to look at that. You have the congressman just the other day sent a letter of support for expanding some of the bus facilities within the county so that they're closer to where people live. Having a bus facility way out doesn't make sense. People should be able to walk down the street and get on a bus in a safe environment and in an efficient environment to be able to get to work or a grocery store, take care of their loved ones. So we have to keep those things up. Unfortunately, they don't have the fast I agree.
Okay. Robert, can I ask, are you going to be here a few more minutes?
I will be.
What I'd like to do, folks, is just for a minute is give a few other people a chance to speak, and then if Robert's willing, we could ask him some more questions. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill, I wanted to give you a chance to say, I know you wanted to say something.
I just want to say welcome to Trinity again. This is the third time we've had some kind of a vigil here to talk about our common concerns as citizens of this country and as people of the earth, especially in this case. We were thinking about the direct human loss of the 11 and their families. Thank you for the numbers spread. And then we're concerned for the wildlife. The casualties of this accident, the casualties of this spill already number in the millions and billions of living creatures. And I'm not being sentimental. We are all in a network of life on this planet. We don't even begin to understand yet what's going to happen to that whole basin of life that was the old Gulf of Mexico. Now, sure, we're most concerned immediately for the direct human impact. We think about that in the short term. The casualties, the grieving, the job losses, and now we're into the thousands of people who are concerned and affected immediately already. But those other pictures of the other part of life, that network of life that we rely on to live, we're all in this together, even us and the pelicans, us and the algae, us and those fish that come from the bottom to the top, or at least used to. That's what it means to be citizens of the earth and stewards of nature. I won't use religious words like creation and all that. This is a big picture stuff. This isn't just something that it's going to take up another 50 days or another 90 days. We're already at the point where, would you hold up that sign? There we go.
With the oil on.
Hold up those signs. Hold them up high for us all to see.
Yeah.
BP really has Mike BP up. And that's not good for any of us. And BP is not good for any of us when they act this way. And so we have to, I think, get the big picture. And the big picture is, we're all connected to other people too. There's 25 of us here tonight. But you can share. Maybe a lot of you do petitions with organizations like I do. Go home tonight and share on your Facebook that you were here with 24 of your immediate neighbors. Report that proudly. Get on your email network and tell your family and friends and all your email addressees. You were here tonight. And then suddenly, the attendance here, the awareness of what we're doing here is not just 11 or 24. Suddenly, if we all did that, there'd be probably maybe a couple hundred or more people aware of making a little noise tonight for life, for integrity, for honesty, accountability, and the appreciation for what this country was originally chartered to be about. Life, responsible liberty. Well, we almost have to insert that these days, don't we?
Yeah.
And the pursuit of happiness, which means fullness of life. For everybody, together. We're all in this together. Me and the amoeba. Us and the algae. Us. U.S. Well, I could go on and on, but I won't.
Thank you, Pastor Veith. What I'd like to do now, and then we can go inside, some people are waiting anxiously for that, is I passed out some sheets that had statements from people who are immediately impacted by this. If somebody with a